Welcome to Yard Talk. I'm Doug.
Hi, I'm Greg.
I'm a trained landscape architect and I believe in strong design.
I'm a born naturalist and I think that good design can create great backyard wildlife habitat.
As you'll see, we sometimes look at gardens in different ways.
But we both agree that the natural approach to lawn and garden care is the best.
We're here to answer some of the many questions we hear from homeowners all over King County who call in to the Natural Lawn and Garden Hotline.
We'll show you cutting-edge techniques to save you time and money without poisoning our children, our pets, or the environment.
Welcome to Seattle Tilth. It's located at the Good Shepherd Center in Seattle's Wallingford neighborhood. Built in 1907, the home of the Good Shepherds supported young girls in need. In the mid-1970s, the 12-acre home became a community center. Tilth is a great place to learn about gardening, especially soils. What kind of soil do you have? It does make a difference. A lot of people think they just have clay in their soil, but you might have sandy areas, pockets of clay, and hardpan.
Yeah, you go out into your yard and dig around and you super hard to get a shovel in there. It may not be that bad of soil. It could just be compacted, but you may have all the components there to have a really healthy and great soil for growing your plants. Fortunately, today we have this wonderful expert and my personal hero.
And mine too.
Lisa Taylor, who's going to talk to us all about soil.
Yeah. Lisa, tell us a little bit about Seattle Tilth, the Children's Garden, and the work that you do here.
Well, Seattle Tilth's a nonprofit organization. We're a teaching group. We teach about organic gardening and composting. And we're standing right here in our demonstration garden, which is here at the Good Shepherd Center in Wallingford. This is a demonstration site. It used to be where the old tennis courts were. And we've been showing folks how to garden on a small scale in a backyard type setting for about 28, 29 years now.
I notice you have a few rabbits running around here, and kids.
Well, there's always a lot of activity here at the Seattle Tilth Gardens. We're right next to the pea patch here at the Good Shepherd Center. There's a school here and an active community center. And lately, we've been visited by Peter Cottontail.
Yeah. Well, we both know how important it is to start with good soil in your garden.
Yeah.
And the first step is to kind of know your soil. So you're going to show us some things today?
Yeah, I've got some friends who are going to help us do some soil tests today. And we're going to go over to the children's garden and do that. Okay. We'll show you how to look at your soil and figure out whether you've got clay or sand or what you have. And then we'll tell you how to make it better.
It's called the Squish Test?
Yeah, we've got a sediment test and a squish test. These are easy tests you can do at home with no special equipment.
All right, let's go.
Well, I'm here with some experts in soil and worms. These are fourth graders from the Meridian School. This is Christine and Dylan and Andrew. And they've been studying worms. And one of the things we do in the children's garden is to teach children how to care for the soil, how to care for the creatures that make good soil, and how to care for each other and the plants and animals that live here in the garden. So you guys, what I'm going to have you do is collect some soil samples. And I'm going to show you how to do it first, and then you each can collect samples from different places in the garden. What we're doing is we're testing the texture of the soil. So what you do is you dig a hole about 6 inches, 6 inches wide and 6 inches deep. And then you're going to just take a slice like this, like a slice of ice cream, and add it to the bucket. Okay? And what we're gonna, oh, look, yeah, there's a worm in there. Well, that's a good sign. And you guys were telling me about worms. What's good about worms?
They help the soil.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Food waste.
They eat food waste, and the food waste changes into what?
Soil.
Soil, awesome. So we care about those creatures. So you guys want to try doing this, and then we'll see what we do from there?
Okay. Sure.
Great. All right, when you want to do a sediment test to test for texture of your soil, you want to take samples from several different places around your garden to get an average of what your soil is like. So we've taken several samples, and we want to make sure we have at least 2 cups of soil when we do this. We easily have enough soil. Dylan, why don't you go ahead and give that a stir up that sample, and if you see any rocks or pieces of plant, go ahead and just pull those out. Great. After we stir up the sample, Christine's going to put 1 cup of soil into a quart mason jar, and then Andrew's going to fill it with water, and then we'll show you what happens. All right, that looks great. All right, Christine, go ahead and put a cup of soil in there. That looks good. Pull out any of those roots that might happen and that worm. We don't want that worm to drown. All right, good deal. Great. All right, Andrew, go ahead and fill that with water and put the lid on. Wonderful. Perfect. All right. Now, all the particles were all mixed together, but when we suspend them in water, the heavy things are going to drop to the bottom first, and the lighter particles are going to float. You got that? Oh, that looks good. Give it a good shake. And then let it sit. Already the sand particles have started to settle on the bottom, and the murkiness at the top indicates that we have a lot of silt or clay particles. After about a half hour, we can test this to see how much sand we have. That looks like about an inch of sand. Now I have another sample that I did a while ago so I could let everything settle. And if you let it sit long enough, all the water will become clear. And we can sort of measure. I have about 1.75 inches of soil here, and easily an inch of it is the sand particles. So I've got a pretty sandy texture, but I have about 3/4 inch of silt and clay. So I'd probably call this sandy loam. A mixture of sand, clay, silt, and organic matter. Another way to learn about the texture of your soil is to do the squish test, but we're going to need some special equipment. Here you go, guys. All right, so what you're going to do is Dylan and Andrew, you guys have 2 different kinds of soil. You're going to take about a handful or so and put it in our mix bucket. Christine, you're the water girl, so you're going to add just a little water. And what we want to try to do is make it just about the consistency of modeling clay. Wet enough to hold together, but not soppy. With a sandy soil, because the particles are so large, they don't really stick together and you can't make much of a worm with that. Clay particles, on the other hand, are very small and they stick together and line up, and we could make a long worm out of that. What's the best soil? Well, you have what you have in your backyard, and what you need to do is learn what you have and how to improve it.
What do you do when you've got sandy or clay soil? How can you improve the soil that you've got?
Well, you can amend the soil by adding compost. It's a great thing to do in the spring or fall, add 1 inch or 2 of compost and dig it right into your garden beds. Later in the season or any time that you have the material, you can also use raw organic matter like leaves or straw or wood chips as a mulch, which is a technique where we spread the material out on top of the soil. It helps protect the soil, and it breaks down and becomes more organic matter and enriches our soil right where we want it.
Yeah. Well, and Greg's got some more tips and techniques to show us too.
Oh, great.
We're here at the Seattle Tilth demonstration garden where they have all the different kinds of native plants here showing how you can use them in your landscape. One other really neat thing that they have that you don't see too often yet is a green roof on their greenhouse. This is a vegetated roof. It has plants growing all over it, and these plants and the soil they're growing in help filter the rainwater when it comes down and slow it and keep it from rushing out and scouring the salmon eggs right out of the stream. So it's a really neat environmental feature that's right here. But we're here today to talk mulch. Exciting stuff. Well, here in the demonstration garden, this one is mostly full of native trees and shrubs. Now these are woody plants. So for woody plants, we need a woody mulch. This woody mulch here is ground up arborist tree trimmings. So it has branches and trunks that have all just been chopped up in one of those big hoppers. And these plants, this mulch will help protect the soil and it'll gradually break down, feed the soil, and feed all the little microorganisms underneath, and it'll really make it healthy for these plants. So what we're gonna do, and during summer it also helps conserve water. We're just gonna take this mulch and dump it around this plant. Now notice I'm not getting the mulch up onto the tree stem. It's very important that you don't bury the stem because it can cause a disease, an infection on the trunks and rot them out. And that's, of course, you want to help your plants, not kill them. So we're going to go ahead and spread that around. Since I do quite a bit of gardening, I measured my hand in advance, so I know how deep 4 inches on it, and I can just stick it down in here and figure out when I get 4 inches. And we'll just make that nice and thick through here. Very simple. Mulch is about the easiest gardening task you'll run across once you get it all spread out. Now, my favorite recipe for this sort of bed is to use 1 inch of compost with about 3 inches of wood chips on top. By doing that, the compost will break down quickly and feed the soil, and your plants will really thrive. Whereas the wood chips on top, they help to suppress weeds and retain that moisture. So you get all those great benefits all mixed in there together. Now, if this were a perennial or an annual bed that had like your carrots and turnips and flowers, we wouldn't want to use this woody mulch on there. They're not woody plants. Instead, let's use a compost or things like grass clippings or leaves or things that'll break down and feed the soil. Those are much better choices in that sort of landscape. We've learned so much today here at Seattle Tilth about types of soil, different types of mulch, as well as how you can use that mulch to really improve your compacted soils to really help your plants thrive.
And if you have more questions, contact the Lawn and Garden Hotline and Seattle Tilth at seattletilth.org.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Yard Talk.